I'm on the right page here. And on top, if you would write the word quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals. ALS. Anybody know what a quadrilateral is? Comes from the word quad. Quad. Ella? Yes, a four-sided shape. Four-sided shape. And see if you can follow this. We have these different types of quadrilaterals. We're going to start with this here. We've got two that just kind of stop here. Let's stop right there. We have things that are called trapeziums, which I'm sure you probably rarely have ever heard. A trapezium is a four-sided shape that has no parallel sides. It just looks goofy. I mean, it would just be something that looks kind of like that or whatever. It just has four sides, none of them are parallel. Then we have, this one you probably have heard of, a trapezoid. Anybody know what a trapezoid is? Trapezoid. Matt, trapezoid is?
It has four sides.
Well, that's all. That's a quadrilateral. Four-sided shape. This is a specific type. The trapezoid is a quadrilateral that has exactly one set or pair of parallel lines or parallel sides. Get the hard ones out of the way first. Those are, trapezoids are the ones where the book told you draw two parallel lines where one is shorter than the other and then connect it to make a four-sided shape. This is a trapezoid. You have these two parallel lines, but one's longer than the other, so you connect them like this. See how those two lines are parallel? Or you could draw it sideways like this, as long as one's longer than the other. Those are trapezoids. As long as they have one pair, one set or pair of parallel lines. Now, we got the hard ones out of the way. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk turkey. Why don't you say that here? Here comes a whole list of ones that you are familiar with, and they fall under what we call parallelograms. Parallelograms. And the definition of a parallelogram, unlike a trapezoid, a parallelogram has two pair of parallel lines. And usually what you think of when somebody asks you to draw a parallelogram is one that looks like this, where you have this, and you have this other one that's the same exact length, and you connect them, like this. That's that one. This and this are parallel, and that and that are. This is your standard garden variety parallelogram. Looks like this. Whatever garden variety means. Okay? But lest it be that easy, there are other special parallelograms that we talk about. There are a whole bunch of other shapes that have two sets of parallel lines, and I'm guessing you've probably heard of these. One of them, ladies and gentlemen, is what we lovingly refer to as maybe you've heard of this. A special type of parallelogram is this guy here that looks like this. What is that bad boy? What's that thing called? Somebody help me out.
Rectangle.
Yes, it's a rectangle, but what, and see in math we have to be really specific here. What is it that makes a rectangle a rectangle? What separates it from, it is a parallelogram because it has two sets of parallel sides, but something makes it special. Anybody know what it is? What makes a rectangle a rectangle? Wow. The tension is so thick you could cut it with the Madison.
The two pairs of parallel.
Yeah, but that's a parallelogram. It does have that, and a rectangle is a parallelogram, but it's a special. What makes it a special type of parallelogram? Matt?
The top and the bottom line are longer than the two sides.
Yeah, so are these though. Top and bottom longer than the two sides. That doesn't make it special. Oh boy, Lauren!
So we make
Oh boy. I'll have to give you a little hint here. A rectangle is a parallelogram that Aaron has.
four.
Exactly. What makes a rectangle is it has to have 4 right angles, 4 90-degree corners, 4 square corners, just like your piece of paper. Okay. It is a parallelogram, but is a special one because it has 4 right angles. Okay. Now, not to confuse you anymore, okay, we've got special types of parallelograms that are also rectangles that look like this. Boink, 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 boink. What is the name of that shape? Madison.
Square.
It is a square. But what makes a square a square? By the way, a square is a rectangle because the only thing something has to be a rectangle have 4 right angles, and squares definitely have 4 right angles. So every square is also a rectangle. But what makes it, oh, is it party day today?
No, it's getting out of my room.
Oh, for coach's room?
Yes. And my room's locked up.
Oh. Yes.
Just 2 locker rooms, mine and yours, right?
Yes. What is it that makes a square? By the way, I really didn't put the arrow to where it goes, did I? Wait. No. Let's get this. What makes a square a square? Somebody? What separates it from a rectangle? Because if your teacher told you to draw a square and you made it a rectangle, they go, no, squares have to have what? John?
4 equal sides.
Exactly. Squares have 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. But every square is also a rectangle, technically. And then the last one you probably don't hear about as much. Okay. It's also a type of parallelogram that isn't, well, it isn't a rectangle per se. Okay, it is something that looks like this. And it's kind of tough to draw because you got to get it just right. In this shape here, all 4 of these sides are equal. Does anybody know what that shape is called? It's like a squished square. Lauren says, because she's looking in the book, that is it is a rhombus. RH, or, right? R, a rhombus. Is that spelled right? That is right, isn't it? Yeah, a rhombus, RH. And the exact definition of a rhombus is that it has 4 equal sides. So the question is a square a rhombus? Yes or no? Does a square have 4 equal sides? Does a rhombus have 4 equal sides?
Yes.
Then all squares are rhombuses. Wait, yes. Are all rhombuses squares? No, because you can draw something that has 4 equal sides that doesn't have 4 right angles. Okay. So the confusing part about this is the book will say, okay, here's the shape. And they will say, here's a quadrilateral. Give all the names that apply to it. Now, obviously, when you see it, you say, well, that's a square. But you have to also know that not only is that a square, it is also a rhombus, because the definition of a rhombus just says it has 4 equal sides, so you have to write that down. Not only is it a rhombus, but it also has 4 right angles, so it is also a rectangle. Not only is it a rectangle, it is a parallelogram because it has 2 sets of parallel sides. So if they give you that and they say, well, give every name that you can for that, you would have to list all 4 of those. Now in math, we use the most specific name and we would call it a square, but unfortunately if they ask you to name all of them that apply, you have to do all of that. And that, boys and girls, is your whole spiel. Turn to, if you would, turn to page 286. Because they do ask you to do that on page 286.